I want to give all praise and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham Ha Rakah Kodash. Double honors unto our apostle elders, which rule Great Millstone Wild and Shalom. To the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel, may you endure unto the end. Shalom wa abababom. So Ezekiel is prophesying judgments against the Israelites. It says in Ezekiel 22 verse 18, Son of man, the house of Israel is to me become dross. All they are brass and tin and iron and lead. In the midst of the furnace they are even the dross of silver, which dross is the worthless part, the unclean part. Dross, something regarded as worthless rubbish. It says, therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai by his holy prophets, because ye are all become dross. Behold, therefore, I will gather you into the midst of Jerusalem, as they gather silver and brass and iron and lead and tin into the midst of the furnace, to blow the fire upon it, to melt it. So will I gather you in mine anger and in my fury, and I will leave you there and melt you. Yea, I will gather you and blow upon you in the fire of my wrath, and ye shall be melted in the midst thereof. Which that word wrath, all right, he has his prophets telling you the judgments before it happens. An outpouring, right? And then it goes into it's an outburst of passion by the prophet through the word, and then the Lord's going to lay his anger, his rage. He's going to fulfill it, all right? But when you go to outpouring pertain to, see, it says something that streams out rapidly, an outburst or of strong emotion. See, spontaneous outpourings of affection and support. That's the other side. You got judgment, and on the other side of the coin, you got mercy, which it all comes through Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai, to the prophets. All right, and we're telling everybody their lot, and then eventually nuclear destruction. It says, as silver is melted in the midst of the furnace, so shall ye be melted in the midst thereof, which is dealing with America. This is where they're going to be melted. And ye shall know that I, Yahweh, have poured out my fury upon you. Why? Because you have the prophets telling you the wrath, and then the Lord's going to pour out his fury, right? He's gonna physically destroy this place by sending his son back, Yahweh Shai. And the prophets are telling you of Yahweh Shai's return. All right? So that word there is ha-ma, which it goes to heat, rage, hot displeasure, indignation, which he has a righteous indignation for America, anger, wrath, poison, bottles, right? Venom, poison, burning anger, which is that nuclear destruction. He's going to destroy this serpent and their poison. All right? But at the same time, we're breathing fire on him by telling him the truth. Right? So it says heat. Which once again, this truth is burning him up. Right? It says, and the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, say unto her, thou art the land that is not cleansed, nor rained upon in the day of indignation. There is a conspiracy of her prophets in the midst thereof, like a roaring lion raving the prey. They have devoured souls. They have taken the treasures and precious things. They have made her many widows in the midst thereof. Her priests have violated my law and have profaned my holy things. They have put no difference between the holy and profane, which these so-called religious institutions, right, that Jake occupy, are whorehouses, are sodomite dens. It says, neither have they showed difference between the unclean and the clean, which that's what we're doing. We're telling you what is clean and what is unclean, and have hid their eyes from my Sabbaths, which we're always telling you about the Sabbath, which we're in a Sabbath today, right? And we're going to go into a new moon, which is the beginning of a new month, established by the new moon, which is when the moon is darked out and is blacked out. That's the beginning of the month. The full moon is the middle of the month. See, the sun was given to us so we could read the scriptures. The moon was given to us so that we could tell the time, knowing when the Sabbath and the holy days are. And I am profaned among them, right? Like IUIC, right? They profane the name of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai and teach a false name, Jesus Christ, which is a false name. All right? Her princes in the midst thereof are like wolves ravening the prey to shed blood and to destroy souls, to get dishonest gain. All these other, these false religious institutions, and also even these false Israelite camps. Once again, like IUIC, Sakari, Genesis, ISUPK, they're in it just to get dishonest gain. And her prophets have dubbed them with untempered mortar, right, with traditions of men, seeing vanity and divining lies unto them, saying, thus saith the Lord our power, when the Lord Yahweh had not spoken. The people of the land have used oppression and exercised robbery, and have vexed the poor and needy. Yea, they have oppressed the stranger wrongfully. Right? Look what they're doing in the land of America today, right? With ICE. And majority of those ICE are so-called Christians, so-called, what they call them, evangelical. What is that word? Evangelical Christians are Protestants which protested the Roman Catholic Church, who share core beliefs including the necessity of personal conversion, born again, right? These so-called born again Christians, or even the Roman Catholic, right? Which that's where all these false Christian religions came out of, was that false Roman Catholic Church, including the false religion of Islam, which is just another version of the Roman Catholic Church. All right. So I asked Google, what is the percent of ICE members that are Christians? It says, based on the provided search results, which it gives you 7+ sources, there isn't a specific statistic on the percentage of ICE immigration and customs enforcement members who identify as Christians. The information available focuses more broadly on the religious composition of Congress and the general U.S. population, with Christians forming a majority in both. So this is a wicked-ass place, right? The majority of this place is so-called Christians, But look how wicked it is. Look how evil they treat the poor, the prophet, right? And that's why they're going to be melted here. The 2/3 that reject the truth and choose the way of the heathen, you're going to be melted here. All right? In Ezekiel 22, verse 30, and I sought for a man among them that should make up the hedge and stand in the gap before me for the land, that I should not destroy it, but I found none. Therefore have I poured out mine indignation upon them. I have consumed them with fire of my wrath, which pretty much America doesn't have a prayer in heaven nor on earth. The Lord doesn't hear the heathen prayer. He doesn't hear the sinner prayer. He hears the Israelite prayer, and we're praying for a Bob a ball. We're praying for the Lord to bring evil upon Babylon. All right? So the Lord's saying this place don't have a prayer. And these 2/3 don't have a prayer. We're not supposed to pray for them. All right? They're getting exactly what they deserve. We're praying for the will of the Lord to be done. All right? It says in verse 31, therefore have I poured out mine indignation upon them. I have consumed them with the fire of my wrath, which we're prophesying the nuclear destruction of America. We're telling you what's going to happen. Now you're going to persecute us for it, and that's already been prophesied, that these other nations also shall hate us because the devil, the so-called white race, have raised up their head. It says, therefore have I poured out my indignation upon them. I have consumed them with the fire of my wrath. Their own way have I recompensed upon their heads, saith the supreme power, Yahweh Bahasham, Yahushai Bahasham Ha-Rakak-Vadash, which the Holy Spirit is with the hopeful elect. And it says in Revelation 18 and verse 20, rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for our power, Yahweh Bahasham, Yahushai, hath avenged you on her. And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone, and this represents those nuclear missiles, and cast it into the sea. The sea is people. The Israelite are amongst a sea of people of other nations, including even Israelites, right? In America, it's known as a melting pot of people, right? A sea of people, which once again, the 2/3 of the nation of Israel, which reject the truth, they're going to be in this sea that burns like a lake of fire. Saying thus, with violence shall that great city, Babylon, be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. But you could go visit Babylon right now. There's people dwelling in ancient Babylon right now. So I put tourists in ancient Babylon today. And it says, yes, you can visit the ruins of ancient Babylon located in modern-day Iraq, near Al-Hilal, but it's a challenging destination primarily for determined travelers, as it's not a well-maintained or consistently promoted tourist site due to a tumultuous history and past security concerns. Because this shows you that Babylon, the one that's going to be destroyed by fire, still is in place and existing, and the prophecy hasn't been fulfilled yet, because this ancient Babylon still exists. So the Babylon is talking about that's going to eat that fire is going to be America, Babylon the Great. All right? It's not ancient Babylon, it's Babylon the Great, America, that's going to eat the fire. And you put great. Revelation 18:2, and he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, which Yahushua prophesied that he would see Satan fall like lightning, which America is going to fall in one day, in 1 hour, by nuclear destruction, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. So America is going to become a desert, and desert creatures are going to be here. All right? No man will dwell here ever again. Revelation 16:19, and the great city was divided into 3 parts, and the cities of the nations fell, and great Babylon came in remembrance before our power, Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai, to give unto her the cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath. So America is the one that's going to suffer the wrath of Almighty Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai without any mercy. It's going to be such a great judgment, the earth is going to shake. It says in Revelation 14:8, and there followed another angel, saying, Babylon is fallen. Once again, this is a future prophecy talking about America, Babylon the Great, who's going to fall by nuclear destruction via nuclear missiles being shot off by its allies and enemies, NATO nations, and BRIC nations. It says that great city, because she made all nations to drink of the wine. She made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, which they participated in enslaving the Israelites, and false doctrines that the so-called white race has put out, whether it was Christianity or democracy, right? So these other nations are going to suffer the destruction also. The earth is going to shake, so they're going to suffer this judgment as well. And the land of Israel is also going to be burnt up by chariot fire. But the great judgment, that the place where it's going to become a lake of fire, is America. All right, because of its wicked deeds and how it corrupted the earth as the kingdom of the so-called white race, Esau, Edom, which the Lord has righteous indignation against the so-called white race. And is it wrong for the Lord to be in such a manner against Edom? It says in Malachi 1 verse 3, and I hated Esau. That's why the Lord made him to look the way he does, and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness, which is going to be nuclear destruction. And it's going to be made a desert, and it's going to have desert creatures. No man will dwell here. Whereas Edom saith, the so-called white race, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. This is what they say every day. They're impoverished because they're pathological, what they call them, pathological liar. Definition of pathological liar. It says I'm looking on my other phone. It says pathological lying, Wikipedia, right? It says fantastic. Let me say this word here. Let me do that again.
Fantastic pseudology.
Fantastic pseudology is a chronic behavior characterized by the habitual or compulsive tendency to lie, right? Which that's what Esau has. He has a spirit that he constantly lies. The scriptures say once he's born, he goes astray telling lies, which we've seen examples of that, of these Edomite kids saying that a so-called black man broke into their house and stole the cookie, but the little Edomite devil child ate the cookies and is blaming a so-called black man. All right? Because Esau Edom, the so-called white man, is the red devil the Bible speaks of, which deceived the whole world. Right? It says, Yahweh of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, the people against whom Yahweh hath indignation forever. And your eyes shall see, and ye shall say, Yahweh will be magnified from the border of Israel, meaning beyond the border of Israel, because we're here in America. The Lord's going to deliver us, and right now, as we wait upon him, we exalt his name, his son's name, and we prophesy the judgment, which Babylon the Great is going to fall like lightning and be turned into a lake of fire. Shalom to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel. May you endure unto the end. Shalom wa ba ba ba.